this, and it's a pleasure to have Shantanu today. Hello, everyone. So I will little bit introduce Shantanu. Shantanu is an engineer, sales manager for Kokai Shoulder America, who believes in the power of sales. And he began his journey in electronics manufacturing by completing a MS in industrial engineering. And he lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, and loves to play golf. So it is our pleasure, Shantanu. Floor is yours, and I hope many people would be benefited from today's talk and how he achieved EB1 without a PhD. So, Shantanu, floor is yours.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me well. So thank you, Kalpana. Thank you, Aditi, for having me here. Really appreciate the opportunity. Is there any way you can enable screen sharing?
Maybe it's
Also, by the way, fun fact,
Got
Kalpana, our host for the session, also got her green card through EB1.
yeah.
And we will have her talk about her story as well at some point. So, Shantanu, you have.
Oh, nice. Congratulations, Kalpana.
Thank you, thank you. No, many congratulations to you because that's the difficult part. What you have done.
Well, you have done the same thing. So, all right. So, without further ado, just it's gonna be a casual presentation. So don't like you can more than welcome to interrupt me in between and ask questions if you want. So I'll just go ahead and start. So we'll talk just a little bit about me, like how I basically what I do, just to understand everyone, just what my job profile is, what I do. And then we'll talk about my visa journey, how I started in US, and then which visas did I go through until I got my EB1A. How did I build my profile? I think I got so many questions about how did you build your profile, and then what can or you guys can do to build your profile. So it's a hard question, but I'll shed some light on it. What criterias did I apply to? That was another question that many people asked me. What was the timeline for preparation before you submit all the documents? And then also everyone wanted to understand what was the timeline after the I-140 is approved, and then when did I get my green card in my hand? And then talk about some FAQs, but again, feel free to interrupt me anytime when you get a chance. All right. So about me, my job profile is I do a little bit of everything from sales to marketing to technical support to operations, to start a new office, manage distribution, manage inventory. I do pretty much everything. So you can say that I manage part of our company here in US. I pretty much look after everything that is needed to run a company, right from opening a bank account all the way up to making sure that the customers are paying on time, making sure that we have adequate inventory in the office, forecasting what would be the trends that I typically see from customers. And then depending on that, how can I manage my inventory and have an adequate supply of materials? So typically my everyday is not an 8 to 5. Sometimes I play golf on a Tuesday, which I'm going to do this Tuesday, believe it or not. And then sometimes my work, I have to work on Sunday. So it's not like someone is telling me to work on Sunday because let's say you have meetings. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I had a meeting very early morning in New York City on Monday morning. So I started my day on Sunday about 6 o'clock in the morning, drove to Chicago. We had to meet some people there. And then my boss was flying in from Zurich to Chicago. And then we took a flight in the evening to New York City. So by the time I got to my hotel, it was 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. And then the meeting was 8 o'clock. Sometimes like next week is going to be a little bit laid back week. So again, every day is kind of different. So I cannot generalize that how my work will be today, how my work will be tomorrow. It's basically I would say kind of a stochastic or random process. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I am not made for 8 to 5. So again, I absolutely love what I do. So rags to riches, just to tell you a little bit about when I started with the company. So after I graduated out of Binghamton, and we'll see that in next few slides, but after I graduated from Binghamton, I got this position through my boss. He referred me to basically apply, and then I started in Cincinnati. So when I started working for Cookie Soldier America, basically we had no customers here in Midwest. And from there to now about 200 customers in 10 years is a achievement I'm very proud of. I had no sales experience, and I think I basically wanted to get out of my comfort zone for a bit, just to try what I can do and what I cannot, just to understand my limits. I think it was a beautiful journey, to say the least. My work sometimes, I would say like 60% of the times is with collaboration with the R&D team. So for example, let's say, I won't name the company just for the NDA purpose, for just think about any automobile company. I think we can safe to say that any single car which is running on US roads has something that has been made with our product. So for example, let's say a company A. So a company A is making infotainment units for a company B, which is a car manufacturer. So we typically collaborate in teams, and then get together and ask about, okay, what is the reliability that the infotainment units needs to have? What are the failures that they typically see in the burn in testing? Any new features that they are working on? How many times the people will actually touch the screen if it's a touch screen, or if they have any buttons, how many times that buttons will be pushed, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, my role is to basically guide the teams, not directly guided, but basically act as a someone who can give them a solution as to if they should do this or that. And again, uh, you will basically think about, like, why are they asking you about that? I'm sure they are more than educated, right? So the thing is, typically though, these days, I think people try to work with the suppliers order to understand what their niche is. So basically our niche is soldering products. So again, we never claim that we know everything, and if someone claims they know everything, I think they're basically lying to themselves. So what we can tell them is basically, okay, this is our experience and this is what we have found out. So based on that experience, they'll take that into the consideration, and then basically develop their product for the future, or maybe the current version. So that's typically what my work is, to basically guide them in the selection of the materials. So sometimes we have those materials with us, sometimes we don't. So we are very open to the customers that, yeah, this is what you want, but unfortunately we don't carry that. But customer or the supplier B, who may be our competitor, will carry that. But at the end of the day, I focus more on giving solutions to the customer than selling my product. So that's what I do. Another important thing I love to do is networking. Even though I was pretty shy in school, I don't know if there are some people who know me or on the call. They haven't seen this version of myself, and like I've managed to, like, I would say, be very outgoing, outspoken in last 10 years, maybe 15 years. But in school I was totally opposite. So I used to just manage my own business, do my things, and then that's about it. So I love LinkedIn. Again, I'm not as active as Aditi is. She does some phenomenal job in posting memes, and they're so apt that you absolutely can remember the memes that she posts, and you can try to relate with that. So it's been phenomenal, I think. I love playing golf. Actually, I had a round this morning around 7 o'clock. So it was a great, I think for me, it's a great stress buster. And then when you are on a golf course, you are just thinking about the next shot. You are not thinking about anything else. There is no network coverage. Hopefully, you are playing in the middle of nowhere, and then just relaxing a bit. Again, 2 hours, less than 2 hours for 9 holes, and then you come back home. I also have been president of a local electronics manufacturing association called SMTA. I got involved with them when I was a student in school. My professor introduced me to that association, and then basically over the years I started to get more involved in the executive committees and so on and so forth. And then again, it's basically my way of giving back to the community that basically got me here. I love cats. You can see the picture. We have a cat at home. So just a funny picture to show that the cat is playing golf. So it's really nice. As far as travel, of course, I absolutely enjoy traveling. Sometimes it's painful if you have a lot of misconnections. I'm sure everyone in last few years, I think, must have gone through that you have a connecting flight out of DC, New York City, wherever, and then you have something like the fuel, the plane had more fuel than is needed, or whatever that may be, weather delays, and then I had a lot of misconnections. I'm proud to say that I've driven more than 350,000 miles. Yes, you heard that right. So I typically drive, give or take, about 35 to 40,000 miles a year. So when I started with the company, obviously I had no customers here. So most of my job was basically doing a lot of cold calls. I have not afraid to see people saying no to me. I've heard that, and I think that grew me quite a lot. Actually, it basically made me much stronger, I think, to say the least. I have to stay around 40 to 50 nights a year in the hotels, because the customers are so far away sometimes that I drive 6-7 hours and it's impossible to come back middle of the night at house. So, and then we typically, if I plan my trip, I typically go on Tuesday or Monday, come back on Thursdays, so that I can visit the prospective and the current customers and then complete the loop. So that's typically what I do. So that's about me, just in a short. Sorry if I took a lot of more time, but just wanted to understand. I just wanted to let you know, guys, that what I do, what I like every day. So. All right. So here is my visa journey. So I came in 2011 on F1 as a graduate student, started my MS in Industrial and Systems Engineering in State University of New York at Binghamton. Was, I think, lucky enough to have gotten an opportunity with my professor to work as a co-op in a company which was right next to our school, about 40 minutes, not right next to our school, but about 40 minutes. So we used to take a bus in the morning, work there, attend classes. On the days that when we had classes, I used to be on the campus. On the days we did not have classes, I used to work there. But typically, that basically got my introduction to electronics manufacturing. I had no idea about electronics manufacturing when I came to US. So 2014, after 2 years, 2.5 years, I graduated with a thesis. December 2013, that's when I graduated. And then I started my job with Koki, same company that I'm working for, on OPT. I'm sure everyone is familiar with that. So it basically took about 3 months, believe it or not, to get my OPT EAD card in the mail. So that's why my joining was slightly delayed. So I started around sometime third week of March in 2014. That's why I wrote 2014, started working. So 2015 and 2016, my company was gracious enough so that they said they'll absolutely sponsor you for the visa, H-1B. So obviously that time we had a lottery, much easier, I guess, than today. But again, not fortunate enough, or I would say unfortunate enough. So to not select in the lottery. Looking back, obviously, I think it was a good decision that I was not selected in the lottery. It basically made me push a little bit harder on seeing like what are the other options. But again, we applied both the years, 2015 and 2016, did not get selected in the lottery, both of the years. And then I basically one of our lawyers suggested that why don't you apply for O1. So I'm not going to talk about O1 today, but it was a long shot, I think. And then my lawyer said that it's going to be difficult. O1 is a really hard visa, but again, hey, let's give it a shot. So we did the best we could, and by God's grace, I think our O1 got approved. Even that, the first O1 we had an RFE. It was simple RFE, I think. It just asked me about like, okay, we just need your employment contract as to why you need O1 for 3 years and what are your main job responsibilities and what are you going to do. So I think it was pretty simple. My lawyer said that's the easiest RFE that she has seen. We submitted that, thankfully got it approved. And then in 2017, my employer said that we want you here for a long time, so let's go for let's apply for green card. My lawyer said EB3. That time, I think EB3 priority date was much earlier, I believe, than EB2. And then she suggested, hey, why don't we shoot for EB3? We can always upgrade when if it's time, but I don't know why. But anyway, we got EB3 approved in 2017. Priority date was sometime in October 2018. Then again in 2019, applied for O1 extension, again got it approved. So the funny thing with O1 is because it was a consular processing, so I had to leave the country both the times. And with O1, I think it's always tricky that it's you have to make sure that you are going to prove yourself in front of the visa officer, I think. So first time I went to Canada, it was a much easier process. Second time I went to Mexico, again, both the processes were easier. It's just that you always have that doubt in your mind. What if something goes wrong and if they reject my visa, I'm never going to able to come back to US. So that's the risk that I took. And it was both the times I had to take it because it was a consular processing. I don't know why we applied for consular processing, because I mean, you obviously can apply, like you can stay in the US and just apply for extension with O1, which we did earlier last year before my green card was approved. But again, I think if I remember correctly, my grandparents were not doing so well and we wanted to visit India. That's why my lawyer suggested that, yeah, why don't you go for consular processing? That way you'll get a visa stamp so you can go to India anytime that you want. So, and then in 2022, my EB1A was approved. So got a green card in December last year. So that's typically how my visa journey looks like. So how did I build my profile? So I think there were some things that basically happened without my knowledge, such as an opportunity working for a startup. And again, we had 3 people when I started. And again, we still have like 5 people. We don't have a lot of people, but the amount of revenue has increased considerably. Almost we quadrupled in 10 years. Just same amount of people still working. So my role basically affects my company's profit or loss. So if I don't work, if I don't generate business, because of the administrative cost and because of the running cost, we will go in loss if I don't generate more business. So my role is critical enough that it affects the profit or loss of the company. So that was one of the important things that I got benefited to apply for EB1. So working for a startup, I think as I told you before, that we had no customers, and as I started to build relationships here in Midwest, and even now for that matter, across all the world right now. So I manage customers all over the world. But I think when I started working for the company, I had no clue about how to sell our products. I mean, I did have an idea what the product is, because obviously I did my master's in similar industry, same industry, different product though. So, but again, I did mostly on the reliability side of the things. This is more on the material stand on the things. So again, you can apply the same principles, but so because of the working at the startup, I could basically work on the things that I thought was beneficial in gaining more market exposure, as well as how to get our name and our product name out. So that was my more focus. And also my focus was how can I sell myself? Because typically I read so many books on sales. When I was traveling on in my car, there was always used to be some audio book that I was listening to, like how can I be better at what I do. So I studied about American sports. I studied about uh, how to make, like, I mean, I listened to a lot of crazy stuff, like just to make sure that how can I fit in. So if you just think about yourself, you're always going to buy things from someone who is your friend. You are more likely going to buy things from your friend than someone who has a good product. I mean, sure, you need to have a good product, don't get me wrong. But then if one product is 99, one product is 99, same, let's say both the products are same, you are naturally going to buy from someone who you are going to trust. So basically I build my profile, or how I basically I build myself, like, okay, I need to sell myself. I need to make sure that customers like me, they like what I do, they like what I provide them. So meaning that I was not actually selling my product, I was selling myself. So basically that, for example, even if there was nothing going on, like I could see that there is no way I could sell what I need to sell to this customer, but I still went for it, and my company like supported me wholeheartedly. There was no questions from my boss like, why are you going here today? Why are you going there tomorrow? What did you do last week? There was absolutely no questions, and I'm really, really grateful for that, because I had a full freedom. So first 8 9 months I didn't sell anything, and to be honest with you, I was not doing anything, and I knew it's what I mean, and the company also knew that it's going to be a hard road. So basically then it started kind of making it easier as soon as I established myself that, okay, hey, he's not going anywhere, he's coming back, knocking on our door, helping us out. Even though he is not selling his product, he's helping us out in a big picture. So that kind of basically set me up. And that's what I say, that working for a startup will give you things, and basically you will get things in return that are you will never have ever even have imagined. So as I told you, cultivated relationships, and those relationships were so beneficial for me in basically getting support letters, recommendation letters, you can say, asking me to review papers in reputed journals. So all because of the relationships. I think it was super, super helpful. So again, I was not thinking like, for okay, I need to apply for EB1 someday. So that's why I'm building my profile. I was just getting out of my comfort zone and making me more qualified, to be honest with you guys. So again, I wasn't had like a vision board that, okay, this is my vision, this is what I want. I was just making that, okay, I am going to be better version of myself in next year. Okay, I'm going to be continuous. So in Japanese terminology, we call it Kaizen. Kaizen means continuous improvement. So as soon as you reach on top, all you can see is slope, right? So the whole idea is you never reach top. So even if you are 19, let's say you are 100, but the goal is 105. If you are 105, your goal is 110. So the peak always goes up. So that's kind of helped me a whole lot. And again, that's my goal in everyday life, to just becoming better person, or anything, whatever your goals are. So just don't stop while achieving, just keep on upgrading your goals. So same thing, I think collaboration with the industry and academic institutes helped me a lot as well. So my professor was really adamant that I think I should definitely consider getting a PhD. So I applied, I got same school, same everything, same professor, same program. And just instead of master's, it's PhD. I had to take all the courses. So basically I did all that online. My school was gracious enough so that I could still get an in-class degree, but we have like a special program in our school called Engineet. So we can attend the classes and basically give exams and stuff. I think I'm running late, right? But I'll do my best to go faster so that we have more time for question and answer. So again, so basically that one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. So again, now coming back to the important thing. Aditi, I'm doing okay?
You're doing great.
Okay, all right. So let's jump right into what criterias that applied for. So the first criteria that applied for is the evidence of your performance of a leading or critical role in distinguished organizations. So as I mentioned to you before, like how my role was critical and how it is critical today. I had a letter from my current boss, who is the general manager of the company for US division, and the president of global Koki company. I had both the letters. I'll go into the details if we have more time, but my letter from my GM was about 25, 26 pages. It was a big letter. It enlisted all the projects that I worked on, and then how the company increased from 0 customers to where we are today, how the sales increased, and we had graphs and everything. Again, please don't ask me to share the letter. I don't want to share my letter because it's my story. So it has to be your story, and we'll go when the slide comes. Just you have to pour your heart out. So you need to make sure that you are explaining what you are doing to the someone who is going to write a letter for you, so that he should be passionate or she should be passionate enough to write something that obviously is true, but also make sure that he and she is covering what you are currently doing for the organization or association. The second one was the evidence of your authorship or scholarly articles in professional or major trade publications. So I had about 21 papers, had one book chapter, about 2 journal papers, and about 19 or 18 conference papers. So I wrote both the criteria as accepted, because when I got an RFE, they said that this criteria is satisfied. So that's why I wrote accepted here, because I'm sure you are going to ask question, how do you know this was accepted or not? So that's why I knew that these 2 criteria, USCIS accepted that. The third criteria that I applied for was evidence of your membership in an association which demand outstanding achievement. Applied because I had a senior membership with IEEE. This given an RFE that basically how can you prove that you have basically what is so outstanding in becoming IEEE senior member. I'm getting a lot of inquiries these days that like a lot of people are getting RFE. So again, we knew that it was kind of a long shot, but I wanted to make sure that we are applying there. So in the RFE, we submitted the bylaws saying that exactly what bylaws, you can find them on the internet for the IEEE. So who are the people who are going to review your profile? What kind of things are needed basically to apply for IEEE senior member, and so on and so forth. I don't know if they accepted it or not, because all you get is an approval. So I won't be able to tell you if they accepted it or not. The other one that basically I had an RFE was I applied on an evidence that you have been asked to judge the work of others, either individually or on a panel. So we basically actually I submitted 2 proofs. One was for the peer review of one paper in the I think it was a Nature or Springer, like the big publishing house. It was I just reviewed one paper. That's it. And basically, as I'm working full time and my job is so demanding, we wrote that because of my demanding job, I couldn't review more papers. So I don't know if one paper is enough or you need to review 100 papers, or if there is any quantification idea. But this is what I had, and that's what I'm telling you. So we got an RFE. So we basically contacted the publishing house, and they gave us a letter that, yes, he did review the paper, and why did they select me as a judge? They didn't write in specifics, because you cannot basically ask them to include what the points in the RFE is. They are just going to tell you that, okay, we basically invited him to review the paper, and then he reviewed the paper, and that's what we can confirm. That's it. But then I also asked the editor who actually invited me to review. So he basically wrote in the letter that who he is, obviously, why he thinks that I'm capable if I am a subject matter expert in the field which he requested me to review the paper, and then obviously he said that he reviewed the paper. So that was it. So, and again, don't know if they accepted it or not, but that's what we submitted. Then I also had an RFE on the evidence of my original scientific, scholarly, and business related contributions. So I had a lot of recommendation letter. Very thankful to the people who wrote us letters of support. I had about 17 letters. So again, we didn't submit all 17 because I'm going to tell you in the next few slides, I usually have a backup plan to my backup plan. So I knew that if there is something like this happens, then I should be prepared. So I had some letters of support as a backup. We didn't submit that. And then basically submitted 5 new letters, which I already had prepared. Obviously, the letters were written by people who I knew well over the years, and they were gracious enough to write the letters. And then I had one old letter which they did not acknowledge. So I added that letter again. USCIS basically will, if you get an RFE, I hope you don't, but if you get an RFE, they will basically enlist exactly what evidence you submitted. So we never saw that letter being acknowledged. So we again basically requested them that, can you please acknowledge this letter? And I don't know if they acknowledged it or not. I have an approval. So these are the criteria that are applied for. All right. I know we're getting a lot of questions, so I'm going to wrap it up, I would say, in 10 minutes max. So I'm going to share you about the timeline for the preparation of EB1A. I think that's most important for all of us watching here. So the initial evaluation I did, it was in May 21. Just about like I had evaluation with 3 different lawyers. And then a couple of the lawyers said, absolutely not. Your profile is not suitable for EB1A. So you are lucky that you have O1 actually. So just apply for H1 next time, and hopefully it gets picked up in the lottery. The third lawyer I talked to, I'm really good friends with her. I'll share her information later if you need. So she said that, I think you have a good case. Sure, your profile needs some improvement and we can work on that, but I think the O1 will kind of help you. You already know what criteria it is, and then we can make a strong case and apply. So I was really grateful, and always be grateful to her, because without her and my wife, I don't think I would have been sitting here in front of you. So basically, profile strengthening, I started working on with the lawyer, and then June, July, did a lot of research actually. What can be done to improve my profile? Should I apply for IEEE senior member? How can I get invited to peer reviews? What else can I do? And thankfully, I think by God's grace, I think definitely I had good connections, and I think the situations were such that I got invited to basically review some projects for New York State Science and Engineering Fair, which is an international science and engineering fair sponsored by Intel. This year I got invited by state of Ohio to judge the science and engineering fair again. So I mean, again, we submitted those evidences as well. So again, don't know if those were accepted or not, but we definitely had those. So then I started contacting people who I thought would basically be beneficial for me to get a support letters from. So I think that's the most important or difficult part. So you can have great relations, but sometimes the company won't allow you. So I actually worked with a lot of DoD and DOE projects, Department of Defense and Energy. Actually, I can tell you that because now our report is declassified. You can search online and you'll see what I worked on. So, but again, there was no way I could get a letter from them because there is no policy in those organizations that they can write something about what I did and what I did not. But we attached that report, which was declassified. But again, the inquiries on the support letters, that if you politely asking someone, can they write a letter for you in support of the EB1A is, I think if you send 100 emails, doesn't matter. I mean, you might have the best relationship, but because of the company policies, you may not get the letter, or they may not be able to write the letter for you. So that took a while, I think. So it basically, in the meantime, I started working on the fulfillment of the IEEE senior members, and then some peer reviews of the paper. And then the initial draft, basically we got from the people who wrote the letter in sometime in October. So depending on, like, I reviewed the draft, what they wrote, and sometimes it's impossible that you cannot even tell them that, okay, can you rewrite this, because you are basically so grateful that writing your letter of support, so you just accept it as it is. But sometimes if there is any way you can suggest that, okay, you know what, my lawyer is suggesting that, is there any way you can word it a little bit differently? Or I mean, you can suggest, you cannot tell, absolutely not. You can only suggest, is there any way you can include this, because you might have worked on that and he might have, or she might have forgotten about that project, and you can politely ask, is there any way you can include that? Sometimes you get a favorable response, sometimes says, no, unfortunately, no, I cannot do it. So the final support letters that I got, with signed everything, in November 21, November, December timeframe, I think, all signed and everything ready to go. So the compilation of I-140 was around January timeframe, and then submission of I-140 to SCIS was about February 22. So let's see how the timeline says after I applied for I-140. So applied as a standard processing on February 8th, 22. Then requested USCIS to basically go for premium processing, because my visa was O1 extension was gonna get expired on August, and I was really hoping that either way, yes or no, I could get something. So I was pushing for that. So I got an RFE 3rd May 22, almost 1 year ago. Responded almost 1 year ago, 16th of June, with the RFE response. The best news, I think, 23rd of June, I-140 approved. Then obviously medicals and all that stuff, then applied for 765, 131, 485. Sometimes I think people these days do concurrent applications, so they apply everything together so that they don't have to worry about this. But obviously I wasn't sure if I'm going to get it, so I was very pessimistic about that. So I was thinking just one step at a time. So I did that, and then got I-765, which is an EAD, got approved 16th of September. 31st of October, got the AP, advanced parole, approved, and then finally got the green card in December. So that's how the timeline looks like. So we have, I think, about 22 minutes. So I'm just gonna talk about some FAQs that I got. I'm sure I covered a lot of things on other questions, directly, indirectly. But if I miss something, again, I'll give my contact information at the end of the presentation, and you can ask questions if there is not enough time today. But I think the most important question I got is how to build your profile. What can I do to stand out? So I would say that first and foremost, get your profile evaluated by 4 to 5 people at least. You can ask lawyers, you can pay them, I don't know, $100, 200, depending on who you're talking to. I don't know what they charge these days, but sometimes I also got my profile evaluated by my industry professional friends, to just ask them about what is missing, or what do they think that would be beneficial if I add that to my resume. So you basically take those suggestions, work on it, and then start working on upgrading your profile. I have a great mentor. He's my professor in the university. So he helped me quite a lot about, okay, what papers you should write, what you should do, what you should not just academically, but also like who are the customers that I should target, how you should present yourself, and how can you back up your data and stuff like that. So I mean, I talk to him quite often just to get any opinion, that because for me, his opinion is very important. Talk to my mom and dad. and my wife like crazy just to understand, like, because these are the people who know you the best, so they are going to obviously always tell you the best in your interest, best your interest. So you can ask, or you don't need to even ask, they'll obviously going to tell you that, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. Again, just make sure that the profile what you are going to develop is not just for EB1, but in general can elevate you from one place to another. So don't just think of it, again, this is just my perspective, I always think of it as a bigger picture. So you always think about it, okay, this is what I am today, where do you want to see myself in next 2 years, next 5 years, next 10 years, and then you basically go from there. I would say think out of the box always. I mean, people say that all the time, but doesn't mean anything most of the time. But what I typically say that it has to be your story. So you have to make sure that, I'm sure everyone is going through different phases in their lives. You have to make sure how can you all tie this together. So that's, I would say, that's why that people ask me that, can you please share your recommendation letters? No, this is almost like a love letter you are going to write to your girlfriend, wife. But again, it is your story. It basically means something to you. So I cannot share my story because it's personal. And then it's basically my experience was that. That's why in the petition, what I mentioned. So you have to make sure, and again, it will take a lot of your time, that just jot out the things that you have done so far, and just see where you were and where you are, and then see if you can make a story out of it. I know storytelling, I would say, is the most important thing that you can gain out of this, because if it's a story, people will read it. Just think about it. I don't know how much time USCIS officers will spend time on each case. I have no clue. But again, whatever time they are spending on reading the case, it has to stand out. So if it's a story, I think it would definitely makes it much easier for them to understand why you have done certain things and how it is basically tying all together. Another thing I would say, that as much as possible, work in something which is cross-functional or interdisciplinary, meaning that like you may be a great engineer, but is there any way in your company that you can also work on some sales, or for example, marketing or operations, whatever that may be. So do something which takes you a little bit out of your comfort zone, because just think about it. If you are always in the comfort zone, you are never going to grow. I mean, you will, don't get me wrong, you will, but the rate of growth will be much slower. But as soon as you are basically out of your comfort zone, you try really hard to basically succeed in whatever you are doing. So that was my suggestion, is like, just go out of your box, and then go out of your comfort zone and do something that you have never done before.
Okay, Shantanu, we
Yes.
are running out of time. So how many slides you have?
Just last two slides.
Okay, okay.
So
Go
I
ahead.
think
Yeah.
we have covered most of the things. So I just wanted to show that you have very strong chances if you are working professionals, because your profile is going to be unique. I hope it is unique. And then you can always basically apply in a category where you can basically applying in a category which says that how, or the work that you have done, how it has contributed in the field of your proficiency. So that's important. Critical role, I mentioned it before. And I think if you get stellar letters of support, nothing like it. And again, I told again, time and again, you have to be able to sell yourself. So it's your story. You need to write it really, really well. Why you need EB1A, and why you are the best in the business, and why they should think about that. So it's very important to basically being able to sell yourself. Biggest challenges, I would say, time to build your profile. It will vary from person to person. Some might take less than 6 months, some might take 3 years. Again, important to understand, time to get the letters of support is very high. I mean, if you are lucky, you'll get it sooner. But again, remember that that's the biggest challenge. I told this before, RFE, have a backup plan ready, have a backup plan to the backup plan ready. Sometimes it's not possible, but I always believe that I think if you have a backup plan, you are going to be golden. Storytelling I told this about, and that's it. Thank you again. Sorry it went a little bit ahead of time, but I think we still have about 13 minutes for question and answers. My email is here. So if you have any questions that you won't be able to ask today, or if I don't able to respond today, obviously can chat again. I hope it was informational and useful.
Thank you so much, Shantanus, for that awesome talk. And I will hand over this to Aditi now for next. Yeah. Aditi, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Shantanu. You dropped
Sure.
a whole bunch of knowledge bombs, and the chat is, of course, flooded with questions, as they always are.
Yeah.
This is not like every question is going to be answered kind of a seminar. My goal in bringing people like Shantanu on a platform like this is for you to get at least one insight that can change the course of your EB1 journey. I did want to take the chance to talk about what's coming up next. Like I said, when I shared the green card journey from my green card journey last year, it went viral. And following that, we created a Slack community, which has now gone from 0 to 2,141, which is crazy. And next week, we are doing a Slack community exclusive event. And the speaker for that event, it's going to be a surprise, but know this, he is an engineer, he's a working professional with a master's, and he petitioned for 6 out of 10 criteria, and 5 of them got rejected. So how did he come back from that position to get his green card? And that's happening next Saturday. If you have any other questions left from Shantanu's talk, please come for that event. And to join that community, I've put the Slack channel here. Please come. It's going to be next Saturday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. And his name is Karthik Krishnamurthy. You're going to know him when you join the Slack community, but my goodness, what a story, and the kind of impact that Shantanu said he created in his company and in his field. So if you want more creative, out of the box, strategic steps that you can take to build your green card, to build your EB1 and cinch that deal, I would encourage you to come to that event. So I'm handing it back to Kalpana so that we can take some questions for the last 10 minutes that we have.
Yeah, thanks, Aditi. We have few questions in the chat box, but let's do the live interaction. So if you have any question, you can directly ask right now, raise your hand, and then we can ask Shantanu.
So you can go through the, like if you click on participants, you'll be able to see the hands that are raised.
Yeah, I am checking. No hands are raised, I guess.
So we see Chelsea and
Oh,
then,
yeah, Chelsea. Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
Hello. First of
Hi.
all, I would like to thank you for sharing all the information you're able to share with us today. It was very insightful. My question is like your journey. I don't know probably if I got wrong, but if I didn't understand when you explain, you said that you went to do your OPT. Was that OPT related to your bachelor's degree or was with your master?
Masters. I did my master's in Binghamton. Yep. So 12 months OPT and then I think 16 months STEM extension, if I'm right. So
Okay, so then with my question is like, if someone is doing the OPT, will it, for example, in my case, I'm still doing my OPT with my bachelor's, and of course, I'm planning to probably do my master's because my OPT is only 1 year with business, right? So if I'm in that journey, would they advise me to try a lot of these processes like doing the OPT with my master's, or you would advise me to still go through H1B and a lot of these things like in the following year?
I didn't understand. So you said you are on OPT on bachelor's, and then you wanted to ask me if you should go for master's, or what was the other option you said?
Oh, my question is, right now I'm doing my OPT for bachelor's. So I'm also planning to probably go to H1B or one of these things like in the future.
Oh,
Would you advise me
oh,
to do that now?
it's up to
Or
you. If you are
okay,
passionate enough in academics, if you would like to learn more in your field, I would say go for masters. Uh, or I mean, I don't know if you can work and then do masters at the same time. I think on H1B, yes. On OPT, you cannot. So it's your basically decision that if you think that you have to, if you are interested in academics, and then if you want to learn more in your field of education, then absolutely go for masters. I mean, I'm gonna be biased and say go for masters. So
okay. Thank you.
sure.
Okay, let's move to the next person. It's Shai Charan. You can ask now.
Hey, hi, Shantanu.
Hi.
I have a question. Uh, it might be a little weird. So in the so it was a long journey that like you started from F1 to EB1A. What was the mistakes or like what were the struggling things that you have faced in all over the journey that you think that like if you can explain, which can be helpful for the other persons who are in the same journey? Something you felt like someone have already told you, so you might get prepared with something.
Honestly, I don't think I would say that it's a. Uh, I, I don't know. Like you get challenges every day, no matter whatever people are gonna tell you, you are gonna get challenges. That's life. So I don't know. I mean, I would have said that. Uh, I don't know exactly how to answer that question. So for me, the biggest challenge was obviously to learning how to sell and do marketing. That was my biggest challenge. So, but again, I took that challenge upon myself because I wanted to go out of my comfort zone. But there is nothing I would say I would change as such. I loved every part of the journey, and I think the journey is what makes it more beautiful at the end of the day. So.
Okay. One last question. So what
Maybe I
would
should go to, sorry, maybe you can ask later to Shantanu because there are many other people.
okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So next, maybe Tripti, you can ask.
Hello. Hi.
Hey. Yep.
Hi, Shantanu. Thank you so
Hi.
much for doing this.
No
It's really
problem.
valuable getting all these insights. I just had a quick question. Maybe I heard this wrong, but I know you mentioned something about a PhD while working. I just want to ensure that I'm like not or filling in my gaps that I may be having. Is that something an option? Like, can we do that?
Yeah, so
Or
basically, yes, I did start working on my PhD after I got approval of O1, because I could basically do, it's a dual intent. So you can actually go to school part-time and then also keep on working. So I did my PhD. Well, I haven't completed it yet. I'm a PhD candidate. So the qualifier is done. I'm working on my dissertation right now. But yeah, that absolutely. So when I talked about the academia collaborations, it's basically one of the things. Again, I couldn't tell you more in detail, but yes, I am currently working on my PhD. Uh, and then I basically started in 2016, took one course at a time per semester, and then continued the journey. So hopefully by end of next year, hoping that I can finish it. So.
Okay, thank you, Shantanu. Next person is Gautam.
Yeah. Hi, Shantanu. Yeah,
Hi.
thank you so much for doing this. So I had a question. I'm currently pursuing a master's, and I have PhD offers.
Okay.
I'm still thinking of whether I should like take it up or not. But my question is like, how easy is it for a person who has a PhD to get in the field of tech, like computer science or electronics, to get a green card later?
I don't think I'm a right person because I never had a PhD while I applied for. I still don't have a PhD, so I don't think that's a valid question to me. That's a good question. Don't get me wrong. Is it easier after getting a
I
PhD?
can
I don't
answer.
think so.
I
Yeah,
can
go for
answer
it,
this
Kalpana.
question. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can answer this question. So I have a PhD in biophysics. I am a bachelor's and master's in physics. And I really believe that after PhD, getting green card, once you have publications and citations, it's easier to get a green card. That's what I feel.
Okay. All right,
And
but is there any? Do you have any
yeah,
data
let's.
on?
Sorry, I need to go to the next person. You can message me in the Slack. I will reply to you.
All right,
Next
thanks.
person. Yeah, next person is Anchal.
Hi,
Anchal,
Shantanu. Hi,
sorry.
Aditi. Thank you so much for doing this. I have a quick question about the awards. So I know you haven't covered about it, but I know that's also one of the criterias in the list. So anything you can share about like what kind of awards are considered, like which would can be considered significant for while applying for EB1A? Are these awards have to be like, do these awards have to be internationally recognized, or even the awards which you get as a student, as an MBA student, or in your work from your team, like making a difference, Bravo and all
Right.
those. Do those
Right.
awards
Right.
also matter?
So I don't, they matter, don't get me wrong. Absolutely they matter, but not, they don't matter. I think, again, I'm just telling what I think. I'm not a lawyer and I just take it with a pinch of salt. So if I understand correctly the criteria, I think the awards that matter, everyone should know, like basically a Grammy award or a Pulitzer Prize. It's like, okay, everyone knows about it. But if you get an award in a company or something like that, it's not a small award by any means. Obviously, you have done something much meaningful to your company, and that's why you are there. But in the larger scheme of things, will that award matter to applying for an EB1A? I will say no. That's just my comment. Because
Yeah,
even if I had like 2 awards, best of proceedings at an international conference, my lawyer suggested that. I mean, yeah, it's great, but no. So, but it all depends on, it will differ from person to person.
Okay.
I don't want to say like it will matter or it won't. It all depends on who is giving you the award, what kind of people are eligible and all that stuff.
so we are almost in the end. I don't want to extend
So
it more.
take up 2 more questions if
Two more
you.
question. Okay, maybe Deepak, you can ask.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Shantanu. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No
My
problem.
quick question was, how should we approach the salary criteria? What should be the approach for that?
Good question. I don't think I can comment. From the people I've talked to, but again, it all depends on where you live, the locality and stuff. So,
Okay.
like if you are living in San Francisco area, maybe to satisfy this criteria, maybe 400,000 is even not enough. Maybe, but just a guess. But it's a very hard category to satisfy, in my opinion. I think I've talked to a lot of people, but again, I think Aditi is saying that this question is answered in Slack. So maybe you should join the Slack community and you'll get your answer.
Okay. Thanks, Shantanu.
Okay. Yeah. So another question. You can go, Shelby, if I pronounce it correct.
Sunil?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Shantanu. Thanks for your presentation
No
today.
problem.
So, yeah, my question was that, like, as a professional, like, how can I do research work in a university, or how can I publish papers? How did you go about it? How did you basically how did you find decide on a subject on which you wanted to?
Right. So that's a great question. So thankfully, though, my master's, my work, and my PhD all aligns in the same subject. So because I wanted to publish more papers and do some research, I decided to go and basically started my PhD program so that I can get more involved. Because when you are working, you have to contribute somehow, right? Then otherwise, no one is going to write, like you are not going to able to write as many papers as you would like. So if your work allows, then obviously you need to make sure that you can contribute something. And then I would say that if you are working in a field and if you are interested in getting a PhD in that field, that would be the best case scenario. That way you can talk to your company, make sure that they're okay doing some research work when you are working, and then find a university where they'll allow you to do a program as well as keep working. And then that's how I could, again, that's why I said the connections is everything. So for me, uh, that absolutely helped me tremendously.
Okay, on
Thank
that
you.
note, I think we need to stop here. And thank you very much, Shantanu, for this
Sure.
presenting this talk. And I'm pretty sure it was very helpful to many of us.
Thank you.
And if anyone from this group, you have any question, you know how to reach Shantanu. You have his email ID, and also you can message him in the Slack. And if you have questions, you can reach out to any of us or Aditi, and then she can direct you as well. And thank you so much, Shantanu, for doing this. And thank you,
No
Aditi,
problem.
for hosting it.
Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you, Aditi, for having me again. Thank you,
God,
everyone,
thank
for
you.
joining.
I do want to, like, ask everybody to please put in a thank you and just give it a shout out to Shantanu. My goodness, Shantanu, beyond the green card that you have shared, just the story of your personal growth, of how you came out of your shell, and how obsessed you were with being good at sales. And like, America is a very talk centered country. Everybody talks, and for you to carve out, like, really step out of who you were as a person, and then the green card just became a byproduct of the personal excellence that you were pursuing. So
Right. Yeah.
I really do want everybody, and I hope you're seeing the messages that are coming in. And I have a request, Shantanu. There are really great, insightful questions that have come in the chat. I would
Yes.
love to
Is there
pass
any way I can
over.
export the
Yeah,
chat?
I will.
Okay.
I will pass over the chat to you, and if you can, to the best of your ability, I don't want you to burn yourself out.
Absolutely.
If there are some questions that are within your wheelhouse to answer, I would love to get those answered, and I will post all of that in the Slack community. So
Okay.
I want to thank you, Kalpana, for doing this.
My
This
pleasure.
was wonderful. This was very short notice, so please thank Kalpana as well. And
Absolutely. Thank you, both of
My
you guys.
pleasure.
yes. And I want to thank everybody who's in this call. I mean, believe it or not, when I was learning about EB1, there was such a huge imposter syndrome where you're never sure, am I good enough? But you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I want you to know, everybody on the call, Prashant, Aditya, Ajaya, Ashay, Alia, Amay, Anhad, everybody, how brave of a step you took today to come to this seminar and learn about this very difficult but absolutely doable route. So I want you to congratulate yourself for doing this for you. Thank you again for coming for this event, and I will pass over the PowerPoint, the recording, the questions, everything. We are going to get our green cards. This is going to be done. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanu. Thank you, Aditi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Shantanu, I'll let you go. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.